Should I be concerned that I have not gotten a single text from Dan? Because Pablo Torre and Dominic Foxworth were all talking about, oh, Dan told me this and Dan told me that. And so I have not heard from Dan for a month, I don't think. And either that means he's super confident in me being able to come in here and take over, or he means it doesn't really care whether I'd come here and do a good job. And so coming in here, I kind of understand why Dan does this to open shows a lot of the time, just kind of complaining about what's going on around him, because I came in here at 8:20, supposed to I was late, right? I'm going to come in with Chris, who, by the way, not here yet, kids. Come in with Chris on the Bright Line from now on, but I come in and I'm thinking, all right, there's going to be some structure here. I heard there's a meeting, right? But really, it's just everybody kind of hovering around, talking amongst themselves. Billy eventually made a list of 40 topics, none of which were discussed for more than 5 seconds. And then I walk in here after just talking out there for about 5 minutes. I come in here and Roy's talking to Chris. Hey, Woody.
Hey.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right. We're talking to them about a bowl, changing the Stanley Cup to the Stanley Bowl. Roy's talking about his daughter gluing everything in his office together. Absolutely no direction whatsoever. I'm sorry if one of you is technically a director. And then it's just like, hey, you're 9 o'clock. Izzy's starting. Let's go. And so, let's go. It's the ugliest cup I've ever seen, Woody.
The League's Cup?
It's the ugliest cup I've ever seen. It's terrible. It's perfect for the first cup for a team, because if you put it in a trophy case right now, it already looks like it's been 100 years it's been sitting there. It looks terrible.
Well, I do feel like I'd not thought of this, the creative process on a trophy, because someone has to come up with the shape and the design of a trophy. When most of them, like the baseball trophy stinks, right? The World Series trophy is terrible.
I don't know that I agree.
I don't agree with
I
that.
don't agree with that at all.
The one with the flags?
Yeah.
Like just all the flags? What are the flags for?
I feel like it's a
All-
hazard.
They're
to
all
the
the
eyes.
baseball teams.
It's a very dangerous trophy.
You ever been to
That's
Chicago?
true. Very pointy.
They fly a flag every time they win.
No, but like someone had to come up with that idea. Who was the last person that came up with a good idea for a trophy shape? I feel like every new trophy is bad.
The college football playoff that looks like a penis and a vagina.
That one's rough.
Yeah, true.
No, but this one looks like like a nut or a screw or
So
something.
I
It
think the
just looks
concept is
terrible.
like two equally shaped things on top of each other, meant to represent the joint venture between MLS and Liga MX. That these are these two organizations coming together, stacked on top of each other in the shape
And
of
those
a
are all
trophy.
blank slates because they're going to put names on them.
Yeah,
so
you know, I mean,
my
in
question.
100 years it's going to look great,
Right,
but right now it
at
looks
some
terrible.
At some point, the Stanley Cup was blank, and now it's got everyone's name on it.
Did it look better then or now? The Stanley Cup.
When the Stanley Cup started, was it blank and just one level? Because it's multiple levels, right? And
Yes,
it's
that is correct.
grown.
Absolutely correct.
What
yes.
So
would
it's
the
just
Stanley
one level
Bowl
the
look
first
like?
time?
Yeah. Now there are like 6 rings on it now.
Huh.
Yeah, so we were debating, Roy and I, would you rather win the Prince of Wales Trophy, which you get for winning the Hockey Eastern Conference, or the Campbell Bowl, which you get for winning hockey's Western Conference? And I was stunned that hockey had bowls. Hockey should not have bowls. They should have trophies or cups. It seems like American football is the only kind of football that should have bowls.
Do they own bowls? Are there no other bowls in any other sport?
I don't think so.
Like
What other-
soccer owns, what is it, derbies? Is that the soccer
yeah,
thing?
or they're trophies or cups usually. But American football seems to have the market cornered on bowls. Hockey, like everything is a trophy. The Prince of Wales, the Vesna, the Stanley Cup. There's all kinds of cups, but there's one bowl.
Presidents.
It's for winning and it's the Campbell Bowl. That sounds like
Yeah,
it's a bowl of soup.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
already sponsored. It's
Right,
terrible.
exactly. So I said to him it should be the Campbell Trophy, and I would and he asked me if it were the Stanley Bowl. Imagine how much worse it would be to win the Stanley Bowl than to win the Stanley Cup.
Be terrible. Although the things that you do inside the Stanley Cup, you could probably have more room to do in a big bowl. No?
True.
Like eat cereal.
Or bathe children.
But we're talking about this cup. Why? And why are you here on your birthday, Woody,
Yeah.
wearing a
Well, we
shade
know
of
why.
pink that is now very popular?
Yes. Well, I was asked to. Was the main reason why I'm here.
Billy, why?
He's here because it's his birthday, and he wants people to tell him happy birthday. And it's everyone's birthday in this building, apparently. There's 3
Yeah,
birthdays
there's 3
here today.
birthdays in here.
Yeah.
A lot of sex in December.
Whoa. What?
Kind of the math I'm doing, right? 9
That's-
months before.
Could be
lots
preemies,
of preemies,
you know?
yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. Anyway.
So we're here.
Yeah.
You came just so everyone would tell you happy
No.
birthday.
You're here.
No, that's not why I'm here. I'm here because on Friday I got a text, hey, do you want to come in on Monday? You're going to the League's Cup final, which I was. I was there. Had a great time. And do you want to talk about it on Monday? So let's talk some Inter Miami.
I feel like Mike's offended because he didn't have to bring you in to talk Inter Miami.
Yeah.
but,
No. I co-signed it.
All right.
I'm very excited about this because look, every time I know what I'm getting into over here. You're probably going to poo-poo this massive achievement.
It's already been poo-pooed.
We've had a very difficult summer here. A lot of success, but a lot of heartbreak in the end.
This
FAU.
doesn't count as
Yes, it does.
Wait
championship
a second.
ending
Of
thing.
course it does.
But this
they
is-
were nothing.
As
they were
literally
zero
undercut,
consequence.
literally undercut.
But there's-
by the point that I'm trying to make,
but they're
which
still
is
in
you guys
last
are going to
place, right?
disrespect this massive achievement.
Billy.
And before I can even finish the point, there we go.
I'm just
That's why
asking.
Chris Whittingham is in studio right now,
Jeez,
Billy.
respect the co-host. What are you doing?
So yeah, I actually sent Chris Whittingham a message yesterday, or what was the game? Saturday?
Yeah.
And I just said an international event out of nowhere. Just out of nowhere. And because there's people all over the world paying attention to Messi now. And like that was to me an absolute event. And it wasn't even a thing in June. I couldn't look up and see. And then when you watch them celebrate that, and you recognize, oh, well, that was a lot of teams in this thing. There was Mexican teams, there was all these MLS teams, and it's just like they just won, what was it, 7 or 6?
7.
7 straight matches and did so with, this guy. And the thing I love the best about it is I don't think there's a better celebration in terms of choreography than winning in soccer. And Messi was just, like, you saw him out there, he looked bored. He was like, okay, this is what we have to, no, you go first. Okay, now it's my turn. No, Yedlin, come back. We have to take the cup together. And it was just, and then it was all set up for that, hey! And I love that so much. It's so good. Yeah.
Hey, when you lift.
And, like, I know that there wasn't this attachment to Inter Miami, again, just a few weeks ago.
From
But
whom?
it's okay if it's new. It's okay if it's new. Like, this is how kids or anybody, adults, like, I am now an Inter Miami, like, diehard. I plan my nights around Messi games. And so this stuff is real.
You
like,
are not an
I
Inter Miami
swear
diehard
on my
now.
life.
That,
Yes.
When do they play again? Die Hard.
August 28th. I know they moved it. It was August
No,
20th. It
no,
was
no,
supposed to
actually,
be. It was
we're
supposed
on our
to be
way.
yesterday.
We're on our way to another midseason tournament semifinal on Wednesday night.
Wait, what?
Ooh, that I
There's
did
another
not know.
midseason tournament semifinal, which the previous incarnation of Inter Miami, the one that everyone has criticized for being terrible, got Inter Miami to a semifinal of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Semifinal to come on Wednesday in Cincinnati.
The Hunt Cup.
Yeah, well, all right. So let's talk a little bit about how people feel about midseason cups and how this doesn't count. And I think a lot of the stuff that's held against it, it's a first-year competition. But for a first-year competition, I think that this had a lot of cachet, and the Messi thing certainly helped. But as someone that spends late Tuesday nights watching CONCACAF Champions League, that kind of it paled in comparison to what we saw in this League's Cup. Teams were really going for it, and despite it being just a first-year competition, I don't think that should be held against it when you try to look at the massive achievement here. For example, we're going to eschew the League's Cup praise just because it's brand new. Well, on Wednesday, they're playing for a trophy. They're playing in a semifinal for a chance at a trophy that's been around since 1914.
Wait, they're in another semifinal already?
Yes.
How many people are in this tournament?
Every soccer club in the United States.
When was the last round of this
The
tournament?
last round was in June when Inter Miami beat. So they beat Nashville SC in the round of 16, and they beat Birmingham Legion of the USL Championship in the quarterfinal.
How many of these same players that are on the team currently played in that last quarter?
So, like, of the
Most.
Messi, Busquets, Alba, none.
Right.
So
So
none of
they're
those guys were there. That group
What about
managed
the
to
young
get
guys?
Miami here.
They're going to win
Kramaski,
another
yeah.
cup then, like in 2
So-
weeks.
Well, they gotta beat Cincinnati, which hasn't lost at home
Cincinnati
all
sucks.
season.
They got Cincinnati.
That's another thing. The idea of like poo-pooing that, like, okay, I watched these guys. I watched the Philadelphia team. You watched the Nashville team. They're really good, man. They got Zimmerman on the team. We just saw him in the World Cup for the U.S. team. And we, as South Floridians, know the difficulty of putting together and succeeding with a super team or dropping new guys into a situation and it's succeeding right off the bat. It never does right away. And I know there's different sports, whatever, greatest of all time dropping in, but to do it without a slip-up for 7 straight and then have this crazy, like, something to celebrate. It's not a 7-game win streak. It's an actual trophy. It's something to put in the mantle. It's something to build, the growing legend of Inter Miami. And let's not kid ourselves. They're starting their legend because they got Lionel Messi. Like, yeah, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. They got lucky because they placed him here. I don't know what the truth is, Mike.
Placed?
Yeah.
I don't know what the truth
There
is,
was
Mike.
no- there was
People
no
think
placing.
that. People
There
think
was
that.
no placing.
People think that. But it's
He was
amazing
not
what
playing
they've
for
done.
Sporting Kansas City. I promise you that.
Right. But yeah, it's amazing what they've done, and I'm not here. You know, I love Billy. I'm not here to poop on it the way
Me
Billy
neither.
does. No.
I watched it. I have MLS League, whatever it's called, Pass on
With
Apple.
MLS Season
T-Mobile,
Pass and
you
Apple
didn't
TV.
pay
That's
for
the
any of
one.
it.
Unfortunately, that won't count for Wednesday. You're going to need a different subscription.
Really?
Let me
No,
get
no,
on
actually,
that.
Now I'm
no.
out.
It's
Yeah,
the game
what
is
do I
on
do?
Telemundo if you want to
Yeah.
watch it.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
It's on
Yeah.
Telemundo. It's also on Peacock. It's also on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
It's
CBS Sports Golazo Network.
a lot of people have rights to this.
Well, so my question is this. They're still last in the table, correct?
Yes.
So this
Regular
isn't
season
a
competition.
league championship. This is just that they won a tournament.
it's the
Yeah.
league's championship. Yeah.
It's not the
Multiple
league's
leagues.
Well,
championship.
so
Not
yeah,
apostrophe S.
it's a tournament, but
But they're in last place.
in soccer, these things are viewed on equal footing, right? Or at least 80% footing, right? If you win the FA Cup in the UK or you win the Europa League in the UK, it's like 80% the achievement that winning the Premier League is. Yeah, the ultimate end goal is you win MLS Cup or you win the Supporter Shield, which is the regular season title, and the level above that is the Champions League, which Miami will be playing in next year. They're playing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and so you do have this ability to stack more achievements on top of it that are more significant. That doesn't mean that this is insignificant. This is still a midseason tournament, and as Izzy said, you won 7 straight
they
games.
won more games in the tournament than they have all season.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's as if you were missing a guy, let's say you're the Miami Heat, you're missing Jimmy Butler, have a terrible beginning of the season. You get to a point where, hey, it just happens to be an in-season tournament. Jimmy Butler comes back. All of a sudden, you run through that in-season tournament. It's like, hey, we're pretty damn good. You go to the second half of the season, you have a different team, you have an ability to make a run, and you have people supporting you, and you have momentum. I think it definitely works going into the rest of the season.
I don't think you could change your roster in the middle of a tournament. Like they should have to finish out this tournament the same roster they started it with.
Well, they
the Open Cup.
The Open
Cup.
The Open Cup. That would be funny.
Let's
Some
start with hockey.
competitions
Let's start
do
with
have
NHL
limitations
with
like
those rules
that.
first. By the way, we need to talk about how this game actually played out because it might have been the craziest soccer ending I have ever seen in my life. So I'm kind of like the Chris Cody of Inter Miami fans in that I get the pronunciations really close, but not quite correct. So I wanted to talk about how this game ended because it would have been, first of all, such a bummer. Like such a bummer if they got to this point and then end up losing, and then you just like, oh, extending the Messi conversation into the MLS. Can't finish, can't win, whatever. But
Even
you
though
had,
he's the all-time winningest.
I know, but
player.
there
He's
was a
won
time where
44
people
club
called
and
him, you know
international
what.
trophies now.
And so we had the finish in regulation, right? So we got the Messi goal early on, and the what do you call a tying goal in soccer?
Equalizer.
We got the equalizer.
from
in the
Fafa Pico.
You can call it a tying goal.
Tying goal, yeah.
This is America after all. You can call it soccer. You can call it a tying
But I
goal.
want to
It's
ease
fine.
into it because you say things like Messi had a brace, and I have no idea what you're
It's
talking
2
about. I
goals.
think it's an injury. So-
Brace is 2 goals.
Yeah,
A hat trick is
I
3.
looked it up ever since you said it, Mr. Soccer. But you have the final seconds. What is it? 3 minutes of stoppage time.
Yep.
And explain to the people what happened at the end of.
Yeah, so Sergio Busquets plays this long ball in behind, and
By the way, Nashville was just about like you just thought they're going to lose in the last second. Nashville was just
every set piece was dangerous. Miami
Every
going
set piece.
into in the MLS regular season, they've given away the most set piece goals in the league. I
Mm-hmm.
think 14 in MLS play, and so every corner was like, oh no, here comes another one because Nashville's just a bunch of trees in the penalty area to go and win headers. So the ball comes out to Sergio Busquets. He plays a long ball over the top. There's kind of like this one-on-one physical tussle. Leo Campana for Inter Miami gets in behind Shaq Moore of
Campana. I like to
Nashville.
call him Campano.
Campana. He goes in behind, goes into the penalty area. He's one-on-one with the keeper, chips the keeper, and he tries to play it out the other side, but kind of ran out of room. So he tries to slide tackle around the ball and poke it towards goal. And in doing so, instead of hitting the gaping goal, hits it off the post and it goes out for a goal
And
kick.
the sliding defender, Campana had to jump over the sliding defender, which probably took just a half second away from him getting to the ball in time and to be able to end basically at the buzzer, running off.
It was
as a
the last
winner.
kick of the game.
Absolutely. Would have been magical. But I'm kind of glad that it ended that way because I just wanted to see how Messi watched that and experienced that because there's no way he's not finishing it. What do you think of the chip over the keeper, by the way? I thought just finish that.
That never works.
Just
Go
finish.
go for a finish in the
Hey,
corner.
Chris is here.
Does the chip ever work?
Oh, it works all. And that's the thing though. When it does work, it's beautiful. It's like it's the best kind. Can you imagine finishing a cup final with a chip? Magnificent.
It was
Like that
fake
would
Mike
that would
Ryan.
have been an all-time highlight.
Isn't
if
that
you did
Campana fake Mike Ryan?
I've never been called that. No, that
Really?
was Pizarro,
Oh,
who is now in
Pizarro.
Athens.
Yeah.
Qualified for the final round of the Champions League qualifier.
Okay.
But Campana, what was my main takeaway from that is Campana was going for this moment. He got fouled by that last defender, and Campana probably should have just fell down to the ground because they would have had no choice but to give him a penalty. But he kept his footing, and
Because he wants to score the winning
Yeah,
goal. Because
and-
otherwise, it's Messi who takes the penalty.
And in not flopping, he ends up sending the game to PKs, which in that tournament, instead of extra time, you go straight to PKs, which is an oddity that I hope they correct, at least for the final. It's kind of odd for a cup final to go straight to PKs. It makes it feel like the Community Shield.
First thing that came to mind is if he would have made that, I would have come in here to a diatribe from Billy saying it's absolutely staged.
What?
Like Messi and Inter Miami winning on a walk-off the League's Cup, you would have said absolutely staged,
I don't
especially since
like
Messi
this.
scored the first goal.
I don't like this reputation you guys are trying to give me, to be perfectly honest with you.
well,
You came out of the box saying, nah,
About what?
Soccer hater.
about the achievement.
so,
no,
so let's
I
hear.
just
So
said-
let's hear
the argument for the
optimist
achievement.
Billy. Let's hear celebratory Billy.
No, I think this
on
is
behalf
great
of
for the
Inter Miami.
town. I think that this is great for the city, but also like this isn't the equivalent of winning a Super Bowl. This isn't the streak of championships coming to an end. This is a
Yeah, I mean,
cup.
the NFL playoffs are only 4 games. League's Cup is 7.
Yeah, but this is like saying
Arguably
winning
more difficult
spring
achievement.
training, winning the Citrus League or whatever, like spring training championship
This
counts
isn't
as
That's such a
championship.
good
This is
idea.
actual official competition.
No, it's not. I looked at the rankings. They still only have 5 wins. This
Cactus
wasn't
Cup.
real. This isn't real.
Use a drop down.
That presumes that there is only one league within which to compete,
Yeah.
right? There are multiple things. That's the difference between soccer and
You
American
guys are trying
sports.
to make me out to be this anti-soccer, Inter
I'm
Miami
merely
person.
answering
I'm not.
your
I love
argument.
Inter Miami.
Anti-Inter rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah.
I have an earnest complaint and an issue with this, which is just not really understanding how we can talk about it in this string of snapping championship losses. So, like, for example, Miami Heat and Florida Panthers both go on these unbelievable underdog playoff runs and get 2 titles, but don't win. This league's championship happens with a brand new team in a tournament that doesn't impact whether or not you win the MLS championship, right? It ultimately just sends you to some other postseason
It's
tournament
the Eastern
of some
Conference
kind.
Finals banner.
Right, but I guess what confuses me is I earnestly want to care. I really do. I want to care about this team. I want to care about this sport. I'm very happy that all of the people who I know who like soccer are happy. Like, I think it's a good thing for the town, all of those things. I'm just a little confused by how we're already putting this on the level of some of these other achievements that have happened down here. And I guess it's my naivete about the sport.
Jesus,
I just want to learn.
I couldn't hear anything you were saying because I heard earnest twice.
He's also just
I heard
waving
earnest
his,
and earnestly.
He's
and I
now
feel like
naivete.
he's waving his hands around so everybody comments on his wedding ring.
we
too,
haven't
like
even
it's a
got. I
whole
mean,
thing.
congratulations, you got
Yeah.
married. Secret
Thanks.
marriage, Sarge.
Hey, right here,
Sarge,
Thanks. Sarge.
Courtney,
Yeah.
congratulations. But I did
Thanks.
want to get back to the end of the game. Not that that was not a big deal.
Oh, please.
Because after Campana missed, and just it was just amazing. Like I wish I could get the inner thoughts bubble of Lionel Messi. But we went to PKs. Okay. And I'm sorry, Billy. What happened?
I'm just laughing because this guy asked a question. You're like, you know what? I don't care about that. Let's talk about the goal.
Yeah, it's fine.
Anyways, yeah.
That was too
Let's
earnest.
do what I was talking
it was
about.
Too
He's preparing me
earnest.
for marriage.
We get to PKs, and I mean, I don't know what it is about MLS, but the PKs are usually so dramatic. I think I've seen one person miss frame in like 4 PKs that I've seen, but they go super dramatic. One team misses each. They get to the keepers.
That's the best. When the penalty shootout goes to the goalkeepers,
and you knew Miami was going to win because Nashville had the one keeper with the silly helmet.
Yeah, the
And
dorky
that
hat.
guy
I said to my wife, I was like, he's got to take off the dorky hat for the shot.
That's right. He did keep it on. He kept it on for the shot. But he was like also the entire game. Anytime the ball went to him, he was up in a puddle of his own sweat because like Lionel Messi was somewhere near. It was like, get this thing out of here. So he didn't have like, I don't think a single pass on the ground in the entire game. So it's like, it's either going into Rose Ed or the keeper is saving it.
You got a glimpse, though, when he missed that. What do we call it? A real a sitter or something?
A sitter, yeah.
When he misses this goal that they kept cutting to Messi, and you got a glimpse of what it will look like when shit doesn't go right. Because the cameras are just like, what did Messi think of that?
Yeah.
Like, you
Well,
get
the
to see
cameras
this.
are always asking, what is Messi thinking?
Yeah.
But it's just you get the little taste.
Yes.
You got a little taste
Yes.
there of if shit doesn't go well, he's not going to be happy.
How did it feel for you guys watching it? Did it feel important? Were you nervous?
I was.
I was
Were you
just about
nervous,
to
Sharon?
say,
I was.
if they show Lionel Messi and Messi shows nerves,
Right.
then hell yeah, I'm
Right.
nervous.
So for me, like it felt like a real championship, felt like a real achievement. Look, there were a lot of teams that tried to win this cup. There was only one that did. And Messi has appeared to be a totally different person. He's thoughtful with his answers. He's happy on the field. He's found his
well, that
joy.
one time he decided to do interviews.
Yeah, but he's turned into like an oddly charismatic individual compared to where he was. And he's had so much joy on the pitch. And after that equalizer, you saw, I recognize that Messi. He had the weight of pressure on his shoulders again. When Campana missed that game winner at the end, you saw it. It manifested on his face. And all of a sudden, this is important to a person that prior to this has won 43 professional trophies.
Right.
And he is wearing it right now. So if he thinks it's a big deal, you better buy on in.
I feel like Lucy should be the arbiter on this because she doesn't have the emotional attachment that everyone else does.
I don't care at all.
Okay.
Like, not even a little bit.
There you go.
Wow, why are you the judge of who's the judge?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm
I
just
think you
trying to
just went
cause
to a biased
resolution.
person.
If not, we're just going to go in. How is that biased? I don't know what she thinks about this. I mean, I saw
Really?
her yawn, so I figured I knew which way it was going to go.
Lucy, you should know that in these settings, I tend to lean on women because there's just a bunch of straight dudes around me.
Well,
so
I'm
I'm
the
going to
only
get
one
to you
that
eventually.
I'm the only one that asked.
For the
so.
first time ever, someone will talk to me again.
But just don't think that I'm going to be against you all day.
Why would
you're
she
my,
think that?
Yeah, why
You're
would
my
I
brother.
think
This
that?
is a weird way to
Because
come.
I
Like,
started-
I'm an ally of
because I
yours. Don't
started
think
off
that I
this
hate
way.
you and I'm here to sabotage you and put you in terrible spots because I'm not.
Because I started off this way. That's why. I started off disagreeing with her.
Back to Jeremy's initial point.
Thank
where
you.
He didn't feel like this is on
Should we
par.
call him Ernest for the rest of the day?
I like what Woody called him, which was "marry me, Taché."
I like it too.
But I understand, and yeah, it's a trophy. We were all kind of exhausted watching it. We felt the emotion of it. It was cool to get the photo. It was cool to get the achievement. But I'm with you. It doesn't matter as much as the Larry O'Brien would or the Stanley Cup would, because in those North American leagues, we are so. I get you.
Thank you.
No, 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 no,
That
but-
was labeled a hater
No, I'm
and
not gonna-
someone who's trying to poo-poo it. I was just saying. It's
I
like,
understand because the media cycle is such that we're all in. You're not going to really celebrate the President's Trophy in the NHL. You're not. Even though it's a massive achievement, it's really hard to do. We're all or nothing in this town. So when I say that Messi already has more titles than Dan Marino ever brought to this town,
Please.
I understand what I'm doing. But all that being said,
Easy there, Mary.
Tata Martino is just 2 wins away from tying Eric Spoelstra and Don Shula
All
as
right,
the
that's
most
just
decorated champion
There you
That's
go.
a bit much.
in the
We gotta
history of
relax.
South
A
Florida
bit
sports.
much. But here's the easy way I can try to convince Billy of this, right? Technically, if you want to say it doesn't mean anything, fine. Only the regular season
say
means something, fine. It doesn't mean nearly as much. It shouldn't be celebrated. Whatever the hell it is that you said.
You're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say any of those things.
What is your position?
I just said that this shouldn't count as snapping the streak because this was.
I just don't want to see the Sports Center graphic. That's all. I just don't want to see the graphic that tries to compare this to what happened in this town over the last several months.
But again, I think Mike made the point, which is ultimately because it's the first one of these, you feel what you feel, right? Like you.
No, I know it's
give
the
it-
regular
you give
season
it
and this is a
meaning.
separate
You
tournament.
give it
Nobody
meaning, and I
brought
saw you
home a
mouth that you
trophy.
didn't watch it.
Guys.
All that stuff that happened in South
Correct.
Florida, nobody brought home a trophy until Tata.
guys.
Okay, so now we have something to celebrate, and it's really easy. Yes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count for the regular season, but they won every damn game. So what can they do in the regular season? Maybe they can win every damn game and still make the playoffs
I'll be
and win
excited.
it all.
I'll be excited if the Heat win the NBA in-season tournament this year, but I'm not going to be running around talking about it like it's a championship.
Summer League championship rings are the stupidest thing I've ever seen, by the way. Can we agree on that?
That's so dumb.
It's hard to apply a social capital to a first-year tournament, and the NBA is going to see that right now. And it's all about how the players approach it and the quality of the games. And if you get to a final between, say, Miami and Memphis that players are trying their hardest for,
You'll
and
feel it.
You'll feel it.
You'll feel
Correct.
it. And
You'll feel
it'll
it.
feel
Grateful
like,
for the entertainment product.
No, but hang a banner. Like you'll feel like you won something.
For making the playoffs.
In 100 years, this tournament will mean something.
Exactly.
I'm not kidding.
My hot take is that it means more than CONCACAF Champions League right now.
My hot take is the league won't exist in 100 years.
My hot take is Sergio Busquets falls down too much and he's a big old faker, and people are going to catch on to that pretty soon.
I don't think we're going to last.
The passing around of who would start this segment has come my
Well,
way.
All right, I'll start.
No, because we were talking about, we're like, well, what should we talk about while you're here? I mean, presumably you're here to mainly talk soccer,
Yeah.
right? And the Women's World Cup ended this weekend, and you want to talk about that. So, like, do you want me to start that conversation? Because I don't think
Yes,
that you'll
actually,
like how
I
it
would,
goes.
I would love to hear.
Well, I didn't see it. It was on too early.
It was on very early,
Yeah.
and it was on my flight back from Nashville. It was the only thing that kept me awake on my flight back from Nashville at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I actually was up and I made it a point to watch it, and then I didn't. I forgot because I was like heating up milk or whatever.
Went on
and
living
then I
your
went,
life?
No, I
went
went
on
on.
living my life.
No, I went to Twitter and I was like, oh, Spain won. I was like, oh, I was gonna watch that.
Yeah, but Spain, it's an interesting story because throughout the tournament, their whole situation has been scrutinized because the manager of Spain, Jorge Vilda, was viewed as a bit of a tyrant. That was his coaching style, and 15 players wrote to the Spanish Federation to say, we are going to refuse call-ups to the Spanish national team as long as this guy is still the coach. And he was backed. And it was surprising that with 15, and these are some of the best players in the world. Alexia Putellas, who plays for Barcelona, is one of the
I don't think
very
you can say
best
that.
players of the world.
you can't say that.
That's her name, Putellas.
You might want to check that.
I'm just telling you that's how you say her name. Anyway, so she's one of the best players in the world, and then eventually agrees to join in. But this guy stayed as the coach, and they win almost in spite of him. Although they play brilliant soccer, they completely dominated England in this final. Like England barely had any chances, particularly when they were chasing the game in the second. I was overly talking with my hands there. I
That's got
apologize.
to be a
you get
fine at
married
some
also.
point. We
Yeah,
gotta
banging
redo
on
that.
the desk over here.
no hands.
Oh, got it.
No rings on the hands. But anyway, so we get to this final. Spain dominate. They win, and all the emphasis seemed to be on, well, are they going to celebrate with their coach? And they didn't, because he's that unliked. And then to further underscore how much the overall Spanish setup is messed up, the president only goes and kisses one of the players on the lips in the celebration of the Women's World Cup title, Jenny Hermoso, who's another sensational player, and she has to be asked all these questions about why, what happened, and as they're celebrating the crowning achievement of their playing careers, they're dealing with all these questions about who is backing them and why these people are still in charge, and it only makes further sense, and we're seeing here on the screen here that the moment in which the president of the Spanish FA kissed her on the
Grabbing
lip.
her by
Luis,
the head.
Luis Rubiales is the name of the Spanish FA
Yeah.
head. And he actually entered after this ceremony. He entered the locker room, and there was an IG live from one of the players, Salma Paraguelo.
Yeah,
that's a
you got
difficult
there.
one.
You got there.
She was on an IG live, and Rubiales walked in, and he said, "Hey, we're treating everybody to a trip to Ibiza," which was met with fanfare and applause. And
Probably said Ibiza.
Yeah.
and then he said, "Where you can watch me get married to Jennifer Hermoso."
Oh.
Yeah.
so
So when the coach was backed by the Spanish Federation, it was this guy who was putting out the statement saying, "We believe in Jorge Vilda. We think that he should remain the coach." And then you kind of put all these pieces together and go, "Oh, all these people suck." And yet somehow they've managed to put together enough of a structure for them to go on and win the World Cup anyway, or those players just that damn good and they know how to play together that damn well in order to win the whole thing and probably be the most dominant team of the tournament.
Is that level of awkwardness enough to have them do something about it, or is the World Cup champion? Or is the World Cup enough to say, yeah, no, we're gonna keep overlooking that?
So I don't know who hires the president of the Spanish FA, but presumably there is a board, and if the board thought that the president of the Spanish FA was up for the job, and the president thought the coach was up for the job, then somebody at board level must think that this is okay. And so it seems like the overall Spanish FA, despite, again, their crowning achievement in women's soccer, their first ever World Cup, is at an incredible crossroads right now, and they're a pretty crappy organization, it would appear.
I don't think this is the inflection point that we all hope that it might be for Spanish football. Spanish football with, racial relations, those in power give the worst possible excuse imaginable, and they hold up results as if their way is the way to do it. You take this as a crowning achievement for the women's program, yes, but those in power, like the manager or Rubiales, they'll be celebrated for this achievement too. Their way was also successful, and there was more than one awkward situation. It wasn't quite kissing Jennifer Hermoso, but Gianni Infantino, the FIFA president, who was seen at multiple games in single days during the Men's World Cup of November. He would sometimes leave at halftime and show up at another game for a second half. He went on holiday during this competition. He was on the medal stand, and he was totally snubbed by one of the players, and he was snubbed because of this video. And I want to highlight just the systemic problems that women's soccer have across the globe. And it was well chronicled here in the States, a massive victory for equal pay. And it lets you know just, yes, we're struggling to get it right in this country. But by comparison, we are miles ahead of the rest of the world. This is a World Cup champion. This is a FIFA president talking about the highest achievement, the World Cup, in this women's sport. And look at how he acts about it.
That you have the power to change. Pick the right battles. Pick the right fights. You have the power to change. You have the power to convince us men what we have to do and what we don't have to do. You do it. Just do it. With me, with FIFA, you will find open doors. Just push the doors.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Oh, is that all? Just
all you gotta do is convince
all
us
you have to
men.
do is just yeah. You have the power. I have all the power in running this organization. But just knock on my door and tell me what to do. Not let me go out there and proactively fix this problem of inequality in the sport. As long as you just tell me, oh yeah, let's go and fix everything. Everything will be just fine.
How do women get in the boardroom? Just break down the walls.
Just push.
Well, the door's open.
But
push
also pick the right battles.
Pick the right
Because if
battles.
you pick the wrong ones, then maybe you won't be as receptive to your equality push.
Is this a Chris Cody situation in reverse where them winning the World Cup will bring attention to negative things, so maybe it's not the best thing for them? You know, is this the idea? Because I've heard about this on the periphery. Like, I hadn't really had a deep down discussion here. It's not like I'm Apple TV over here, Chris Whittingham knowing everything. But I think this probably sheds a light on this more than it would have if they'd lost.
This
right?
was one of the more bizarre women's World Cup experiences I've ever had. And some of that had to do to the time the games were, the spot in the calendar where it was a little bit later than we've seen these competitions. And also, every good story, every Cinderella story was subheadlined by really terrible story behind it.
Yeah.
Like all the Herculean efforts to actually make the runs that teams like Colombia or Spain just did,
Or Jamaica.
It's in the face of huge adversity set up by their own governing bodies. And if you want to get into women's soccer, as I'm trying to,
It feels dirty.
We're this booming soccer town now, right? The center of the North American soccer universe is here in Miami, thanks to Messi and Inter Miami, and it's a dead part for American sports professionally. I mean, we have college football starting up here in week 0.
Did you see Djokovic Alcaraz last night?
Yeah, but so this is the opportunity to get people like Billy, like Jeremy in on this sport. And Jeremy muttered as he heard Infantino's like, if you're trying to get me into women's soccer, this is a bad way of going about it.
Yeah, this is not helping. All of this controversy and really just this sort of dismissal of the women who were leading the way here. Like, it's just, I don't know. It feels like soccer, all I've ever heard about FIFA in general is all of this corruption. Like, it's this sport that has given me a million reasons not to care, which is so weird coming from a place of again, genuinely wanting to care about Inter Miami down here and knowing it's the world's sport.
Well, what would interest me, though, and what does interest me is now adding the layer of, they've overcome all of this to improve the sport to a level where everybody wants to watch and look at this, amazing storyline of Spain, of the levels of things that they had to overcome. And you talk about like negative storylines attached to all the wins. I forget the woman's name who scored the lone goal in the final. Apparently, her father had passed away before the match, and nobody had told her because, I guess he had been battling it for a while, and she found out afterward. And I kind of can imagine, because I had kind of something similar happen to me, but if you could think about that, like your most successful achievement of all time, and immediately finding out afterward that your father's passed away. And like I said, I don't think it came as a huge surprise, because from what I've read, he had been battling some health issues. And so, but that idea is absolutely insane. The closest I ever got was one time I was driving home from spring break, my sophomore year of college at UF. And when I got home, like everybody was just kind of like somber and like sort of on eggshells. And I was like, what the hell's going on? And my mom tells me that my dad, who had been working at some convenience store for a little bit for some extra money, had gotten held up and got shot in the neck and in the forearm. And he had been in a hospital. He had been, had a breathing tube and had been intubated. They were so concerned about when they took the intubation tube out, whether he would actually live or not. So, and that doesn't make any sense to me because you just leave it in. But anyway, they read him his last rites, my mom told me, and it was and that had happened 3 days earlier. She didn't want to tell me because I was coming home and my mom thinks I'm such a baby that I couldn't drive the 4.5 hours without getting overly emotional and somehow, crashing into a ditch. And my emotions immediately turned from worrying about my dad to wanting to, really yell at my mom for not telling me that.
Wow. So you made the Women's World Cup final about yourself.
I was trying to get a response from you
man.
guys, and when nobody said
Typical
anything,
man.
I said, you know what, let me just go ahead and tell this story. But that idea, the idea of winning, scoring, not even just playing in it, but scoring the goal to bring, and then just all of a sudden finding out that none of that matters. Like, none of that
and
matters.
And like at some point, the joy that you are experiencing as having scored that goal, as having lifting the trophy, is going to eventually come crashing down. That there's sort of a finite amount of time in between winning, scoring, and when this inevitability of your life coming crashing down is going to hit you.
It's got to be so dejecting for the players because they reach the mountaintop. And Spain is actually one of the few countries that is really invested in the women's game. Real Madrid just straight up bought a women's team. But to have the crowning achievement and then try to have the manager who's been put in place by this really toxic FA president, and he's dancing around and no one's celebrating with him. You have this massive achievement, and you're immediately reminded by the FA president and by the FIFA president that you're still second fiddle.
Mike,
and then
you
got
can't
a
get
lot of
mad
work
at
to
me.
do.
You cannot get mad at me for making the
Settle.
Women's World Cup about me, because you and Chris Whittingham made the local hour about the Spanish women's national soccer team.
I have a question for the group, the class, if you will.
Can I just say I like the smaller gaps in time as a listener of the show? Whenever Dan's here, those gaps are so long.
Oh, like the
Without
breaks?
Dan, the
You're like a
breaks,
10-minute break, you're
bam,
saying?
just powering right through
Well,
this bad boy.
well, this hour that we're live, we try to kind of like
Somebody needs to tell Dan.
Churn.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Like, there's always like a rogue like 15-minute break that turns into like a 20-minute break, and then we're here till like 3 o'clock, and it's like, how did this happen? It's like, oh, we took an hour off in combined breaks. Like that's how.
Probably ran out of lotion, had to go get some.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
It's okay. No, I'm happy to talk about whatever you want to talk about. You're in control though. Like you control how long the breaks
I feel
are.
like I'm in control
Why?
one bit.
You have a notebook here.
I don't even know what any of these buttons do other than the
boy.
on-off one. Nobody's told me anything
What's
yet.
in the notebook, by the way? Is there like a
This
bunch of
isn't
show
mine.
notes?
This is not my
Oh.
notebook.
Well,
This
what's
is somebody
in-
else's
what's in
notes.
Dan's
I have no-
notebook?
Let's
Let's
look
go
at
through
Dan's
those
notebooks
notes.
while you discuss what you wanted to talk about.
Well, I was
so.
gonna ask. I had a question about like appropriate outrage. If I should be outraged on something that I saw on the internet here locally, in particular,
Righteous
and I'm
gemstones.
not, but I feel like some people are, and it's Dolphins related. And I'm wondering if you guys saw this. So the Dolphins had a preseason game, their second preseason game. Tua came in,
Baseball
first
grade
pass
at cheating riff.
Braille.
Baseball great at cheating.
Oh, I thought
that's
you
not-
said Braille.
Sorry.
Braille.
Yeah, well, I saw one time that the Orioles wore Braille uniforms, and I was wondering if that's what Dan wanted to talk about for some reason. I thought it was odd.
He's
but
getting to it.
I didn't know
Fat
how
white
old these
face.
notes are. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so on Tua's first drive, he throws an interception on the first pass that he has since he started playing.
Got to
again.
get him out of the way.
Exactly. Right? Then they come in, and his second drive,
This note
there's
just
a
says
play.
patience, please.
It just says pay. That may be just a note to
They
him.
can't even see the braille. Who's it made for?
That was one of those things that was kind of
Oreos.
confusing about that. I mean, you understand, the thought behind it, but also, like, even if you're watching it on TV, the TV's not 3D.
Jersey
It's
should
not-
just be like a speaker that says Orioles.
I don't know.
Baltimore on the road.
I'm not gonna be the one to take things away from people
Motion
that are visually
activated.
impaired,
Which animal is most
Why did
likely
you
to
have-
have a conversation with someone they think is their QB but isn't?
Why did you have Regis Philbin doing the voice of
Baltimore.
Baltimore?
Orioles. I would like to know the Dolphin topic, though, because Tua did throw a pick on his first pass to Denzel Perryman. It's all about the Utes game thing. You just don't understand.
So he throws a pick on the first play, right? And then the next drive he comes out, and there's a play that could have been a safety, right? And then that would have just been two, and it was a bad snap, and it was a whole thing. But it ends up being a 97-yard drive, right? So then he's out after that, and, they go, and the bottom line on ESPN has, like, all the information. It says, the stats, what the final score is, keynotes of players, whatever, right? And then it says Tua is, 6 of 17, whatever, 97 yards. And then it says 1 INT. And then in parentheses it says on first pass thrown.
Completely unnecessary.
And then people down here start losing their crap. And it's like, ESPN hates us. I can't believe they did that. No one believed that it was a real thing.
That's
Someone
like
went and
justifying
found
it for me. That's them taking away from it. That's them saying, hey, it was an interception, but it was on his first pass.
Absolutely not.
Like,
No,
feel
that
better
is
about
the
it.
complete
It's very
opposite.
much- That's
The
them
opposite
making
of
us
what they
feel
were
better.
No,
No.
not at
No.
all.
You know what I
Absolutely not.
don't need out of my ticker? Context. Just give me the effing stats. Just give me the stats.
Editorialization,
Yeah.
not
Like
necessary.
Like
there.
sarcasm on the
Yeah,
bottom line.
exactly right.
What putting parenthetically was first pass is encouraging anyone who reads it to go find the interception, the video of it, so they can see, Tua, first pass of the season,
From
throws an
here on
interception.
out, every time Tua throws an interception, if it's not his fault, it needs to say on the ticker, receiver's fault. It needs to say on there.
I need to know which pass it was.
This was his
It was
fault.
his 14th
17th
pass.
pass of the game.
To do that too. But if it's not his fault, it needs to be on there. Not his
This
fault.
was definitely his fault.
Yeah,
There
it
was
was.
no one around.
It was.
How was his falling?
There was a viral
There was some
video. There was a
praise.
viral video
It
of
was a
his
good ball.
falling.
It was a good
Yeah.
ball.
There was
Yes,
praise
it
of
was
some
nice
good
rollover,
rolls. Yeah.
I saw a video sent in a chat where it was like, look at the jujitsu is working.
Yeah.
And it's like him like falling, like going elbow first into the ground after hit. I was
Does
like,
Mike have
here
a-
we
He
go.
used to just go ahead.
Does
first.
Mike have
That
a
is
follow-up?
throwing elbow, right?
Yeah, he used to go neck first.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Every Dolphins fan group chat had that video
Yes,
sent
had that
too.
vi-
That's the worst part.
100%.
Every single group
Yes.
chat with a Dolphins fan was was equally excited as disappointed by the first interception. Like equally excited by
It
the
was-
falling down as they were disappointed by that pick.
It was literally this morning's episode of ESPN Daily. This morning's episode was about Marcel Louis-Jacques' story about Tua learning jujitsu and falling.
I was going to ask, who does daily now?
Izzy
I
does it
was.
sometimes.
Really?
You guys didn't
Wow,
see it.
Billy,
Oh,
thanks for
Good
catching
job, Billy. Good job, Billy.
I thought that was a joke.
Wow.
You do it every day?
He does it sometimes.
This
On
is your
daily?
podcast? It's like 60 minutes. It's like a rotating cast.
That was
I
a
have
joke, right,
done-
Billy?
No, he's not kidding.
I love your work on
I
the
love that being 60 minutes. I always say I'm
the
Laura Logan.
Heat era podcast that you did. That was good.
Thank you. Thank you.
I listened to
Chris
every
hates
episode.
the name.
There's a 0%
was good.
chance you listen to that.
I've
wasn't
done
lived it,
about
buddy.
7 or 8 weeks of ESPN Daily.
Weeks, not
Weeks,
episodes.
Not episodes. Weeks.
Hosting a daily?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah. I don't have
Starting
a thing
when?
yet. I don't know. I said I've done 7 or 8 weeks.
They fired
Look,
you?
it's classic ESPN. Now, I probably shouldn't say anything because honestly, maybe somebody talk to Bimmel, make sure I have permission to be on this. But because I never ask. It's usually on your side. But yeah, when things change at ESPN, there's not always an obvious answer or an obvious fill-in, right? And so when it went from Mina to Pablo, I think there was probably, I don't know if it was obvious or if it was something where Mina said, hey, Pablo, you want this? And she just handed it to him. But after Pablo, they just had a bunch of options and they just started going through some people and then finally got to me and I did 3 or 4 weeks and then they went to Jeremy Shepp and they came back to me. So I feel like they liked me a little bit, but I don't know.
Today's episode was hosted by Emily Kaplan. For what it's
Emily,
worth.
yes. Okay.
When was
She's
your
done it
last
before,
one?
too. On Friday.
Oh.
Talking
It was about-
talking about Lionel Messi.
Yeah, it was about Inter Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My friend
I
Luis
mean,
Miguel
it's
Echegaray.
it's in my queue.
Mhm.
I'm
You're
Jeremy
getting to
Schaap.
it.
I'm Jeremy Schaap, and today is ESPN Daily.
Who's better, him or me?
I don't know, but if
I
you
don't.
want-
I refuse to listen when he does it
Okay, so me.
What?
Yeah.
because I'm a big Izzy guy. I'm like, no, not listening to Jeremy.
You're in luck though. At 2:00, Woody and I have a meeting every week for people that have been replaced on podcasts by Emily Kaplan.
Who'd she replace?
Oh, Chelsea mic'd up.
Wait, her?
She hosts that?
Well, it took a village, but
Yeah.
it was one of the more
I should watch
hurtful
my back, is
replacements
what you're
because they
saying.
changed it from Mike, which was a play on my name, to just it's a microphone now.
Yeah.
Huh.
I was laughing at Tua, but as I think about it, like if I'd learned to fall, I would my face would be different right now. If I'd learned to fall, I wouldn't have this giant scar under my.
What is
not
that?
giant?
Was
but it's
that
just-
real? What
Oh.
happened to you? I saw a picture of you and it
I
looked.
think there's a file. It's on our. I don't know if anybody's ready to show it yet. We haven't told the video team. But
Do you
there's-
know nothing
that
about
real?
Izzy's
Oh
life?
my God! I
No,
didn't
what
know you
happened
were
there?
that ready.
Billy, where have you
to give a
been?
warning.
How do you not know
You have
anything?
to give a warning.
It's my face, and you have to warn me on that.
What
one.
happened to you?
I fell off a stupid scooter.
Doing what?
Scooting. I was
It was
scooting
like
down the
you
road.
got a Lime scooter in
in
that
Tempe,
downtown area?
Arizona.
Oh.
You
Yeah.
gotta roll when you
How long
fall.
ago was this?
I know. I was
Not on your
It was
face.
2021, October 2021,
Yeah.
and I was on the. It was 2 a.m. I was heading back to the Airbnb, and I was
Mm.
going through some like construction zones and stuff. And then when we finally got to the house, like all the rocks and stuff, I felt like we're gone. And so I just kind of looked up, and I was like, "Oh, there's the house," and I just fell face. I don't even know what happened. I
Yeah.
just remember looking up. And then
It's probably
or
like
getting up.
like a longer than usual crevice in the sidewalk or something like that, where like you
Could
go
have been
into
that.
it and then bang.
Could have been that. But I was wearing shoes that Juju got me. These gold Air Forces, I think. I forget what they were. But all I remember is walking toward the door of the Airbnb and looking down and all this blood dripping on my brand new sneakers. And I was like, damn it, the shoes are ruined. And then when I got to the mirror and saw my face, I was like, ooh, maybe my career's ruined. And then at 3 a.m, I'm in an ER at a Tempe, like, I don't know, whatever they call those things. It's not like a hospital.
An urgent care?
An urgent care, thank you. And the person who is sewing my right eyebrow back together is saying, man, I hope I line this up right. And I'm just like, because there's no like hair, right? So he's got to go by like, guessing or whatever. And he did fine. I still have a little bit of a, but it's
It
just
looks
like,
fantastic
I'm sitting here
considering that context.
at 3 a.m. thinking to myself, I'm leaving my face for the rest of my life to this dude who just got called in like half an hour ago. Oh, we got another scooter emergency. And he's like, great. Because they do
Also,
it every
bad job.
night.
I don't know if you made the decision to go to the urgent care, but bad job by whoever made that decision to go to an urgent care rather than just a straight up hospital.
I have a bone to pick with urgent cares.
Okay.
Please.
They need to extend their hours. This urgent care thing that they end at 9 o'clock at night and then you have to go to an emergency room and then your copay is like 4 times what it would be at an urgent care. Enough of that. Stay open late. Stay open till 11.
Would you pay a steeper copay for that?
No, I have to pay a steeper copay to go to the hospital on
No,
things
but,
that
like,
aren't
I'm saying-
hospital
I'm saying-
necessary.
Nobody's on copay scams like you, Billy.
What do you mean?
Can you start your own podcast on copay scams and just let people
Don't
know?
get me started on my urologist.
I'm
That is a whole nother thing. I don't need to go and do a test and then come back to get the results. Tell me the results over the phone. I don't need multiple copays. We don't need to get into this. No one wants to hear about this. We can talk about Messi or the World Cup or whatever. You falling off a scooter. No one wants to hear about the copays, but
There's a urologist by my house, and on the sign,
I like my urologist, just not some of the practices.
Okay. The sign, it says Z Urology, and just so people are totally clear, if they don't know what urology is, it's a single little sperm in the back, just kind of,
There's a logo.
yeah, it's a sperm.
Part of
I
the
don't-
logo.
Yeah.
It's like a mascot.
Yeah.
Why
It's a
don't-
sperm
on the nose?
mascot.
When I think urologist, I don't think sperm.
I think wieners.
Yeah, I think cock and balls.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, no.
What do you think of?
I mean,
didn't
I
they
go
stick something
I go
up
for
your
like my
wiener?
kidney
I think
stones.
UTIs.
Yeah.
And
But
what?
there's also people
Did
that
they
go
go
to
through your stomach,
urologists
or did they
that
go
don't
through
have
your wiener?
wieners. It's not just wiener related.
I've never seen a woman in a urologist office.
Just so
Really?
you know, I also think vaginas.
Really?
Yes.
Well, what?
I do not.
You know, women go to doctors, right?
I do.
Oh,
They
I
have
No, we
their-
don't.
But like, if you had an issue,
gynecologist?
if you had an issue with
Just
your,
like they don't poop.
if you had an issue with your, excuse me,
$5.
It's fine.
yeah, I'm sorry. If you had an
Kidneys?
issue with your penis, like you would like, unless it's to do with your urinary tract, but like there are other issues that aren't taken care of by the urologist.
Where's Pablo when we need him? His father's a urologist. He would have all these answers, would he not?
I don't know.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that about Pablo's father.
Wow.
I went to a urologist when I was a kid, so women do go.
See?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
What was wrong with your wiener?
I had bladder reflux
What's
when I was a
that?
kid. I had to pee all the time
Oh
because I
my
like
God.
it wasn't a UTI. It was like I'm probably
Is it
butchering
like based
this.
on what you ate?
No, it was like I just couldn't. Every time I'd have to pee, I couldn't get it all out. Like some of it would go back up.
Ooh, well, that
Yeah.
sounds awful.
I was a kid. I don't really remember it that well.
Yeah.
I got surgery and I'm fine. I can pee great
How,
now.
how old were
yeah,
you when this
congratulations.
happened?
I love Chris Cody after Lucy is sharing a story in which she was diagnosed with something by a urologist. He's like, nah, that's a UTI.
Well,
Wait,
I've
what?
also in my
I was
life had a
7.
time when peeing started hurting. I went to the doctor and I had a UTI. So that's what I. That's
Yeah,
what I
so in your
associate.
professional
That's
opinion,
that's not 100%
I
the
think,
being problem.
in my defense, I believe I said that sounds like a UTI.
They
No,
cut me
said
open.
Roll the
that's a
tapes.
So
Interesting.
I had like legit surgery for it.
for a UTI, huh?
Yeah, Chris says you had a UTI.
And
Get
here
back
I
to you
thought-
on that.
That worked.
Here I thought I had the best urine topic of the day, which is coming later, but no, I think that might be better.
I wouldn't have used that verb. for
That's a
that.
different topic.
Yeah, much different topic. What are we talking about?
Can we put it on the poll? Do women go to the urologist, or is it did
Well,
Lucy already
Lucy-
just
yeah,
confirm
we
that?
know
there-
that they
there's
do.
no poll needed.
Yeah.
I'm very confused by this, though.
That women can go to doctors?
Well, why the guy put the sperm on the sign? Like,
That's
is
a
he
good point.
just trying
That's
to
a good
keep
point.
the women
That's
away?
a lack of understanding of your own profession.
Might be a comma.